Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. As 2024 draws to a close, I thought this will be a good moment to reflect on the year 2024 when it comes to Doctor Who. Sure, it hasn't been a big 60th anniversary year like in 2023, but a lot has happened in 2024. Some good, some bad. So let's jumble it all together, and I want to talk about my highs and lows for Doctor Who, ups and downs, if you will. So please hit the subscribe button, that will really help out this channel, and do let me know in the comments below your best and worst moments from Doctor Who 2024. I'll be very fascinated to see what has been your highs and lows for Doctor Who in 2024. But let's start this video with a positive, which is of course new season of Doctor Who, brand new episodes of Doctor Who in a series format, which we haven't had since the Flux in 2021, so a good 3 years. Yes, we've had specials just to keep the Whoniverse going, our appetites wet, but yeah, it's good that we've had a proper full series, full season of Doctor Who with the continuing adventures of the 15th Doctor and Ruby Sunday. I will go into the episodes a little bit more detail in a moment, but I just have to say that Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson have been amazing in these roles. I particularly want to give credit to Millie Gibson, who has been at the age of 19 thrusted into a whole new universe, really, to sort of juggle and deal with. Yes, you probably would have that kind of attention when she was in Coronation Street, but this was just on a whole new level. You know, starting in January of this year, when there was rumours about her being axed and dropped, and things are not quite friendly and cozy backstage behind the scenes. You know, I feel sorry for her because it did grow legs very, very quickly, and I think she really dealt with that professionally, just kept it sort of out of her own limelight, and I hope it didn't really affect her too much on a personal level. I do think they could have defended her a bit more. I think Russell T Davies could have mentioned something in these editorials that he do on Doctor Who magazine. Whether he knew about this or maybe just thought, nah, it'll blow over. I don't know. It's a bit of a, I think it's a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't moment. But yeah, considering what happened at the beginning of the year, I thought she's been brilliant. I think she's been a fantastic companion. Case in point, on 73 yards, that was obviously one of the highlights episodes for season 1 of Doctor Who. I do think the execution of that episode might have just didn't quite hit the landing as I wanted. I think that could have easily been a 2-part episode to really give Millie Gibson an absolute just Oscar-worthy or BAFTA performance for her. But honestly, I thought she was fantastic, and her character and her performances just grew and grew in season 1. Same goes to Ncuti Gatwa as well as 15th Doctor. I had no doubts when he was announced as the new Doctor back in 2022 now, and yeah, he has been phenomenal. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet, to be brutally honest, and I hope we get that in season 2. We're getting snippets of it from this first season, and most recently the Christmas special Joy to the World. A particular standout for me for him was in the episode Dot and Bubble. Again, probably my personal favourite out of season 1 of Doctor Who. You can check out my rankings on the Timey Wimey YouTube channel, the video that I did earlier this year. But yeah, his performance has been phenomenal, particularly that scene, which was apparently the very first scene that he shot as the Doctor. Yeah, like I said, both of them have been juggling and doing a lot of publicity for Doctor Who as well, going to San Diego Comic-Con, and obviously they were there at the Showmasters London Film Comic-Con winter earlier this year in November, which obviously had its own troubles away from Doctor Who. That was more to do with Showmasters. Again, I've covered that in a video on Timey Wimey YouTube channel. But from that, I just hope that hasn't taken away their experience of being the Doctor and Ruby Sunday. going to these types of conventions and meeting the fans. It doesn't seem like it's affected them too much, and I really do hope that that didn't happen. But yeah, like I said, they've been very very busy. Shooter Gatwa especially. I know obviously he's been juggling his time between Sex Education and Doctor Who season one when they were in production last year. So that was obviously always going to be a difficult struggle. And I think that was shown a little bit on screen where we didn't have as much of the 15th Doctor's involvement. Hopefully, that'll be a bit more plain sailing when it comes to season 2 of Doctor Who in 2025. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's have a quick sort of recap of season 1 of Doctor Who. Of course, the 15th Doctor, the start of the Shooter Gatwa era in full. Obviously, we had the Church on Ruby Road, which was again a satisfying Christmas episode, Christmas special. But season 1 as a whole, I think it hasn't been too bad. I think what was a sort of difficult one was Space Babies wasn't really well received. I'm glad that they released that as a double episode with The Devil's Cord, because if I'm going to be quite honest, I think if they just had Space Babies alone for that episode and then waiting for a full week for The Devil's Cord, I think there would have been a lot more skepticism about season 1 of Doctor Who. I think the media would have pounced on that, trashed it, and yeah, it could have caused a lot more damage. I don't think it was a terrible episode by any stretch of the imagination, Space Babies, but yeah, it wouldn't have been the best. Definitely wasn't the best episode to have started a brand new era of Doctor Who with. But luckily, the series went from strength to strength, in my opinion. Obviously, we had The Devil's Cord. Boom was another great one there with the return of Stephen Moffat. Obviously, 73 Yards that I mentioned. Dot and Bubble was an absolute classic. Also, it was sort of that was around about the time when I was getting married as well. So yeah, it was quite fun to have reviewed Boom as I was at my hotel getting slowly getting ready for my big wedding day. So that's always going to be like a memorable moment for me as part of that wonderful day of getting married to Mrs. Timey Wimey Review. So yeah, like I said, the season went from strength to strength. We also had the fantastic cliffhanger of the Legend of Ruby Sunday with the big reveal of Sutek and who was Susan Twist. But then it kind of went on a downtrend when it came to the finale, Empire Death. I know it left a lot of people very underwhelmed from that season finale. I don't think I felt the full effect really until a few weeks later. I'm gonna definitely rewatch it again and review it. I know I've done my spoiler talks, which you can find on the Time Review YouTube channel. But yeah, it definitely left a sour taste in a lot of Whovians' mouths, and I don't blame him. Don't blame him at all. And yeah, it was sad because obviously I went to the cinema, like many people. I went to London to watch it, and yeah, it was great to have that moment back. And I think, to be honest, I was trying to recreate that moment of when I went to see The Day of the Doctor at the cinema back in 2013 for the Doctor Who's 50th anniversary, and I kind of wanted that buzz and energy about it, and we kind of got it, but really not. It just didn't quite work out. Maybe because it was a midnight screening as well, because a lot of people might have been a bit tired. That might have also caused it, but yeah, to start and end your season in not the strongest of positions, yeah, definitely you start to get some creeps of doubt coming into the show as well. And yeah, we've had them all. R.I.P. Doctor Who. Doctor Who's woke. This is just nonsense. We've had all that, and yeah, of course, you're entitled to your opinions as well. But yeah, I don't think it's all fully damaged or anything like that. Far from it. It has been a success. But there's definitely lessons been learned from the writing standpoint. I think Russell Davies did definitely overcook it, particularly with Sutek being sometimes I feel like Russell Davies kind of took things a little bit too far in terms of this literal sort of imagination and canon. So Sutek being with the Doctor all along since his encounter with the Fourth Doctor in Pyramids of Mars. I don't buy that at all. That just doesn't sit with me. It would have been better if he just said when the Doctor unleashed the whole sort of theory with the salt in Wild Blue Yonder. That's when all the pantheon gods started to return. It's the Doctor with his own sort of consequence of being in that place in that time. That's unleashed these gods. That would have been better. Similar to the giggle, and we have the bi regeneration or bi generation. Happy with that, but the fact that every Doctor bi generated as a domino effect, yeah, that's coming out of my head canon. It just not needed. Keep it with that. Make it more mysterious and rare and special. That type of thing, really. So hopefully, season 2 we can have some lessons learned and just go back into the more sort of sci-fi elements. I enjoyed the fantasy side of Doctor Who, but yeah, really just up the sci-fi ante and up the tension and up the dark moments. Give Ncuti Gatwa more that more to chew on, more that he is totally capable of. I know there's been criticism of this particular Doctor being too emotional and crying all the time, which again I understand. But in my opinion, when it works, it works. Less is more. I totally agree with that. But yeah, I want to see more of an edge, more of a fire for Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor. Let's move on to Disney's partnership with Doctor Who, because this is sort of like, obviously it started back in 2023, and this is like their first full year with this partnership with the BBC. And yeah, it's definitely had its ups and downs. The positive being that obviously this can be distributed worldwide for season 1 or from the specials beyond. But and I think the negatives that need to be addressed is obviously the midnight releases of these episodes here in the UK. I know that's kind of been a bit of a dampener, bit of a bummer for Whovians in the UK. I understand obviously the logistics of it, but yeah, I don't think it's been as a success as it could have been. I think the model has how they've done the 60th anniversary specials and the Christmas specials works better. Personally, it hasn't affected me. I quite like the midnight episodes. It's something that I'm used to, being a big fan of WWE, watching the premium live events at 1 in the morning. I'm always used to it, even though it is a very tiring chore to do, especially if I'm going into my 40s now. I'm 40 years old, and yeah, it's can't keep this young face forever having late nights like that. But yeah, in the UK it did have a massive effect, because obviously people having to decide whether to watch it at midnight or watch it in the morning, or wait until the live broadcast on BBC One at around 6 o'clock. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird juggle. I think you can, to a certain extent, make it work for you by just getting up and watching it in the morning type of thing at 9 o'clock. But yeah, I think, hopefully with season 2, it'll broadcast exclusively in the UK in the evening, and then the rest of the world at whatever time it is. I think that's the only fair one, with it being a UK production show and not having that influence of Disney. And the other side of the Disney coin is the marketing, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments really, but just obviously in the UK, I think the marketing's been pretty strong. From Disney side of it, not so much. And obviously we've seen the TARDIS appear at some of the Disney parks. We've had obviously a few trailers and little bits and bobs like that. But then there's just been I just feel like Disney has got something, but they don't know what to do with it. You know, they know they've got something good, but how do we add this into the Disney fold? In a sense, and I feel like that with the marketing of Joy to the World, with the misprint of the title being called Joy to the Worlds, and instead of just correcting it very very quickly, I know it would have cost them some money, but without, they should have been correct with the title, but they leaned into that and just said, "Oh, it could be a mystery. It could be involving multiple worlds," and it didn't. It was just cringe. For a multi-billion-dollar company to make a mistake and try and lean into that mistake instead of just correcting it and just that kind of sucked to me. Again, that's sort of like just I know obviously Doctor Who is not going to be Disney's top priority in terms of the television and things like that. But yeah, if you're going to be in partnership, there's got to be someone keeping an eye on that, being an honest spokesperson in the Disney camp, whether, just say that, yes, we are looking at Doctor Who. It's been a successful year for Doctor Who, but we're going to wait until season 2 and the spin off, War Between Land and Sea, until we decide to renew it even further. If it was just honest instead of just all this speculation and rumors, I think we would be a bit more understandable. And it doesn't feel that Russell Davies had to do a U-turn on his editorials for Doctor Who magazine of like, yeah, well, we're going to have to wait and stuff. And yeah, that is the nature of business, especially for billion-dollar corporations like Disney. But I think if Disney are in partnership with Doctor Who, they need to look after it as much as how it's being looked after in the UK. And I don't want to paint Disney as the ultimate villains, because obviously the fact that they want Doctor Who is a good thing in itself. Like I said, worldwide distribution, can't really complain with that. And the same with the BBC. We've got the Whoniverse. It's over a year old now, and as much as I love all the classic Doctor Who's, the new Who episodes, spin-offs, all in one place, that is brilliant, and I think we're very fortunate to have that. I know obviously there's been some problems as well where different classic stories have disappeared because of writing copyright issues with the writers and distribution issues with that. Obviously the Daleks in colour disappearing, not sure the reason why to that. And Fear Her being one of the new Who episodes being removed from BBC iPlayer because of the ongoing scandal with Hugh Edwards. That's one that should have been an easy fix, in my opinion. Obviously, they've taken that episode off because it featured the voice of disgraced newscaster Hugh Edwards. If you know, you know. And they still haven't replaced it. They mentioned that they was going to fix it and sort it out and put it back onto the iPlayer as soon as possible. But they haven't done that, and that was what, 6 months ago, maybe a little bit less. Surely it wouldn't have cost them that much money to put either a newscaster from BBC Breakfast as the new voiceover for Fear Her, or even just pay an independent voice artist to do that. They're screaming out for jobs. Let someone have a go, and just put it back on, because I feel that the longer they leave it as a gap on BBC iPlayer, I think the more you're drawing attention to it rather than just fixing it and away you go. Again, I know it's not the most popular episode of Doctor Who, and I know it's definitely not going to be the BBC's top priority for Fear Her, but the fact I think is still missing when it could be easily fixed, draws some questions in my eyes. But hey, like I said, I feel so privileged that we got a Whoniverse on BBC iPlayer. We've got all these wonderful stories from Doctor Who's 60 years and beyond, all on BBC iPlayer to watch practically for free via TV license fee. And the fact that you can have that subtitles, sign language, that wasn't a cheap thing to do. I do think we are quite lucky here in the UK that we've got that if you are massive fans of Doctor Who. And just long may that continue. I hope the Whoniverse project really sort of ramps up in the next year or so. I'm sure obviously that's what Russell T Davies has, with obviously the War Games in colour that we've just had. And obviously we've got spin-off projects as well. You know, we want to see that elevated. We've got the shiny logo for it, which always gives me a buzz when I see that on various productions of Doctor Who. And yeah, I just hope the Whoniverse grows and grows. And speaking of classic Who, we had the return of animated classic Doctor Who stories with the Celestial Toymaker that you can just see behind me. I know obviously people were very mixed or polarizing opinions on the animation style for this particular story. I've said my thoughts on the YouTube channel. Go check them out, including my reactions to this particular story. But the fact that we've got animated classic stories again is great, because obviously that was becoming a worrying issue. Obviously there was talks about it ending due to lack of funding, but I'm glad that that's coming back, and that it has returned, and it is coming back with the Savages being released, the next one to be released in 2025. Again, a classic First Doctor story. So yeah, hopefully again that's just sort of ending the year on a high with that announcement, as well as the continued release of classic Doctor Who, the collections on Blu-ray. And we've had some great ones this year, particularly season 25 of classic Doctor Who, one of my personal favorites. Some fantastic stories on there. The extras alone are amazing. Really impressed with them. We just had the announcement of season 7 is the next to be released on classic Doctor Who, the collection series, which is of course John Pertwee's debut season as the third Doctor. So again, long may those continue. And again, another positive for Doctor Who is the rise in merchandise, particularly from character options. Obviously we've had the 15th Doctor and Ruby Sunday figures being released. We've got the online exclusive versions of those figures, and again, character continuing with the online exclusives, such as the Mavellans package, the Destiny of the Daleks package, and the Sonic Screwdrivers. And yeah, I'm glad that we're having an increase of this merchandise. I think it's been desperately needed. I know a lot of Whovians have been clambering for new release figures, and we've had some new ones as well, like the Friends and Foes, the continuation of the History of the Daleks, Davros Emperor Dalek figure as well, and the Big Old Hunt on various B&M stores up and down the UK. So I feel like there is a bit of an increase of or a gear up from character options to release these figures. I don't think we're going to get to the heights of back in 2008 when we saw the big displays on Toys R Us with Doctor Who figures, and that kind of makes sense, because I just sort of flashback with, as much as it was great to see them, I was one of those that waited until it was discounted figure prices until I collected them. And obviously characters, it does cost them a lot of money to make these figures, so you know releasing them in a sort of a more limited sort of way, instead of just like flooding the market with these figures, is probably a sensible model to do, particularly at this time where we're still in a cost of living crisis here in the UK, and obviously energy price rises is also going to affect companies such as Character. And finally, I would say this year, for a Christmas Doctor Who or a very festive Doctor Who, it's definitely been quite big, in my opinion. Definitely ending the year 2024 on a high in terms of Doctor Who. We had the War Games in colour. Again, you can check out my review of that on this channel. But to have that, as well as Doctor Who Proms, the televised version of Doctor Who Proms, obviously that was from earlier this summer. The return of the Proms itself is another sort of highlight for me. Again, it has been a long time since we've had Doctor Who at the Proms, and yeah, watching that televised version of that on Christmas Eve, oh my gosh, I was an emotional mess. It was so good to see lots of fans enjoying this music and going out to the Royal Albert Hall again. Catherine Tate did a great job presenting as well, and just having that magic of Doctor Who music being seen again on television was just a real treat. And like I said, Doctor Who has been pretty had a strong appearance or a strong sort of footnote in Christmas on what has been a very busy Christmas for the BBC. Obviously, so just going back a bit, obviously on the 23rd, we had the War Games in colour. Christmas Eve, we had Doctor Who at the Proms, the televised version of that from earlier this summer. And of course, Christmas Day is part of one of the crowning, jewels in the crown, the Joy to the World. Obviously, it's not going to be the biggest thing on BBC because, my gosh, their television was absolutely full to the brim. We had Strictly Come Dancing, the Gavin and Stacey finale, Call the Midwife, EastEnders, of course, and the big one being the new Wallace and Gromit movie, Vengeance Most Foul. But the fact that Doctor Who was still in the top 10, beating Strictly as well, beating Coronation Street, which had a big storyline finale of Gail Platt leaving, that is something to be proud of for Doctor Who. And I imagine probably with catch-up services as well, I'm sure the ratings will be even higher, probably hitting the sort of hopefully 5 to 6 million mark, which I think is successful. And thanks to Tharis, he mentioned on his Twitter page earlier today, at the time of recording, that the Doctor Who Christmas special Joy to the World is in the top 10, or if not the top 5, in various countries on Disney Plus. It's in the top 10 in the US, very high in Australia and New Zealand, Canada. It's been successful, as well as France and Germany. So it's good to see. And as much as there is always a lot of negativity surrounding Doctor Who and the death of Doctor Who, that is definitely not the case, in my opinion. And I think Doctor Who 2024 has definitely ended on a high. Again, there's a little bit of mixed feelings with the Christmas special, but overall, I think that was a positive review of that particular story. And yes, there is lots more to come in 2025. We've got season 2 of Doctor Who to come. We've got the spin-off, The War Between the Land and Sea. We've got The Savage being released, as well as season 7 of Doctor Who as part of the Doctor Who Collection series. So I think there's a lot to look forward to in Doctor Who in 2025. And personally for me, I do think this has been a good year for Doctor Who. I know I've brought up quite a lot of negatives or low moments from Doctor Who, but there's also been equally some fantastic moments from Doctor Who. And on a personal level, in terms of Doctor Who, I had obviously getting married, and I had my wonderful wedding card TARDIS box being made by Father Timey Wimey. Love that. Thank you very much. And also going to various Comic Cons, particularly Hooverville at the Quad in Derby. That was my very first Hooverville convention. I'll definitely do that again. It was so nice to see so many fans, as well as Doctor Who celebrities, and it was such a relaxed environment, such a great environment. Meeting Mr. TARDIS as well there, and just having a quick hello with him was just a real treat for me. And again, all the fans of the show, it was just a really special moment, as well as Brit Sci-Fi as well. That was just a great UK Comic Con that I attended. So yeah, overall, I think it's been a good year for Doctor Who, and we can only hope for even a better year in 2025. But let me know in the comments below your thoughts to Doctor Who 2024. Do you think it's been a positive year for Doctor Who? Has it been a bit of a negative year for Doctor Who? What's been your highs? What's been your lows? Anything that I've missed out? Let me know in the comments. And what's been your favourites or least favourite moments from Doctor Who 2024. But thank you very much, as always, for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please like, share and subscribe. Hit the clock bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Facebook and X. And do check out my other fantastic Doctor Who related content on the Timey Wimey Review TikTok page. And of course, right here on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. Thank you, as always, for your love and support, and all the subscribers out there as well. Honestly, it's been a great year for this channel, and I've really appreciated your support and love. Have a great new year, whatever you are doing. Please be safe, Until we meet again.